Hello there, I'm 𝘠𝘰𝘪𝘯 from Lanteria, and for the past 10 years, I have built and managed the teams that successfully implement Lanteria for our customers. In this short video, I wanted to give you just a taste of what Lanteria HR can do for you and your organization, especially in the way of building employee engagement, reducing attrition, boosting productivity, but also automating a ton of the things that you and your organization are currently doing manually right now. So let's jump right on in. So very briefly, what exactly is Lanteria HR? Well, it's the most flexible HR software system based on Microsoft SharePoint and Office 365. And it's ideally suited to mid-sized organizations with 100 to 2,000 employees, although we have customers bigger and smaller than that. It's also very suited to organizations that are invested in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem because of its deep integration with Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, and Outlook. And finally, and very importantly, Lanteria HR can be configured to accommodate the way your organization works, rather than you having to change the way you work to fit the software. Okay, so if you're a member of the people and culture or HR team within your organization, this is what you are going to see when you first log into Lanteria. I will just note, however, that the colors and the logo are completely configurable so you can align with your corporate style guide. So let's start by having a quick look at what is contained on the dashboard. You can see here we've got some information about the number of employees, and then we can look at the breakdown by country, business unit, company, location, that type of thing, breakdown by employment type, and some other statistics about what's going on, just a quick high-level overview. On the left, we have some additional dashboards that we can access. This one is showing us documents that either are expiring or missing. We have a built-in HR help desk that you can access here. All employees can funnel requests to HR through this one system, just like you do when you have a request for IT, but this is for HR. We've also got some other dashboards there on goals, performance, learning, and how are people using the system, what parts they're using, etc. Now let's take a moment to walk through the various elements of the global navigation bar, which you will be able to access regardless of where you are in the system. We'll go from right to left. So over here, we've got my user profile, and if I click on this link, I'll be able to see my personal digital employee file. Then we go across, we've got access to a chatbot. You can type in a question here and the chatbot will give you answers based on the help. We also have the ability to access help for the specific page that you're on, including links to the help portal. Then we have this one, probably one of the most important ones. This is our user notifications. It tells you all of the things that you need to do with respect to HR. And here we have the quick actions menu, which you can think of just like the Windows Start menu. It's got shortcuts to the most commonly used features. And of course, like everything else, it's configurable. Then we've got the role selector. So most people are only going to have access to the employee role, but because I am an elevated user that manages people and I am a member of the P&C team, I have access to all those. Now, if I wanted to switch into the employee role, I could do that. And as you can see, this page is entirely different from the HR landing page, as are the menu options along the top here. Let's jump back to the HR profile and let's go to the next option. This is our global employee search. So I can search for an employee and click on their details and open up their digital employee file with a couple of clicks. And then finally, we actually have our global mega menu, which is essentially these tabs, and then the various actions underneath those. That allows you to jump to anywhere else in the system, regardless of where you are. And then last but not least, we have what's called the quick actions button. Now think of this as like a contextual or a mini start menu. It's going to have some quick links that are relevant to the tab that you're on. So you can see right now we're on compliance, and you can see here I've got a few actions: audit vehicle, create corrective action request, I always have trouble saying that, report incident, those types of things. Whereas if I go to the learning tab, those items are completely different. So I hope that's enough for you to now confidently navigate around the system as an HR user. Let's now take a look at the digital employee file inside of Lanteria. So what we can do is obviously search and bring up anybody's employee file, like so. But what we're going to do is actually create a new employee from scratch. The easiest way to do that is click on Quick Actions and select Create Employee. Now there's obviously a bunch of different fields on this screen. We're not going to fill them all out, but you'll note if you look closely, you can see that there are fields that have a mandatory red asterisk next to them. We need to fill out those ones. Now, there's obviously a lot of different fields on this screen, and it's totally configurable as to how many you show. As you've just seen, I only had to fill out 6 or 7 in order to create the employee record. Okay, and on the second screen, this is very important, where we assign the employee to a job position. Now you can see some of that information has been automatically populated through from the previous screen. We're going to set when they start, which we'll do today. We'll set yesterday if we like. And the change reason, it's a new hire. Now all of these fields here optional as well, and we can also hide them if you don't want them. And let's go ahead and set the salary information as well. So you can see here, it's actually recommending a pay rate that's based on the ranges and grades that you can set up. So we're just going to say, okay, we'll pay 80,000 annually, and I'll accept the defaults for the rest. And once that happens, if we just do a search now for Joe, we will find Joe blogs in our system. Now, let's just work through the digital employee file a little bit more, but this time we'll go back and use Lisa because she's got a lot more information and Joe was obviously just created. So let me show you another way to look at employees. We can actually go in here to the employees list and view everyone in a tabular view and open them that way. Or I can also go into the employee chart, which shows you essentially the relationship between the employees and their managers. So you can see here. So I can click on any of these and that will open up the employee digital file. So let's just talk through this a little bit. So along the top, we've got all of the actions that we can take on all the different functions. So there's lots of things there, and I won't go through them all, but just a couple of pertinent ones would be looking at the various documents that are in that employee's file. We can also have a look at the job description for that particular person. It shows us for the accounts payable officer, the job requirements, responsibilities, who the job relates to, what are the competencies, KPIs, required certificates, and mandatory training. And you can easily export that to PDF in a single click like so. Now, just going back a step, like I was saying earlier, Lanteria is highly configurable. So you can actually configure these different sections with whatever fields you want in them. And then you can say that, okay, I only want this section with these IT related fields to be accessible by a role called IT. So you've got that level of granularity and control. Now, I'll just also show you there's a couple of other tabs here as well. We've got details of company assets. We've also got details of talent profile. This is where we can store different attributes about different employees and be able to find them through a search later. There's also details of the employee's salary, their salary history, which includes details of all changes made to their compensation and details of any salary review rounds that they've participated in. All right, so let's take a moment just to walk through the digital employee file a little bit. So along the top here, we have our ribbon, just like you have in Microsoft Word or Excel, and it's got a bunch of different functions on it. The one that we would use to change someone's job role is this one, and you'll be familiar with this screen that we just saw previously. It allows us to change jobs. Note one thing really interesting with Lanteria, you can have multiple assignments, you can have temporary assignments, and you can have those temporary assignments automatically finish on a fixed date in time. The other thing that we might want to look at, the employment history with the company. You can see all of the changes that have been made since she started working at the company. I can look at her employee personnel files. So these are all of the various documents that are stored in her file, and some of those will be available and visible to her, and some of them will be available to her manager. Some of them will not. As you upload one of those documents, you have the choice of hiding it from different roles. We've also got details of any assets they hold, or any talent profile, their emergency contacts, what their salary is, what benefits they've got, their check-ins, performance reviews, goals, KPIs, competencies, and what learning and certificates they've done. So it's very comprehensive, but let me just take your attention down here as well. Lanteria allows you to create any custom fields that you like, and you can group them any way you want to. You can see here that we've got all of these different sections, and what I want you to remember is that these different sections you can secure to different roles. So for example, you see this very small section here with just 2 fields in it. That's because we have a role allows IT to go in and populate the user credential and issue a security pass ID, but we don't want them seeing any other information about the employee. So that pretty much covers the digital employee file. Now let's take a look at Lanteria HR's employee self-service functionality. As I showed you earlier, the portal has a completely different dashboard from the People and Culture portal. The most important one is the tasks requiring my action. So you can see here that these are all the things that this employee, Lisa, needs to do. And we've got different icons to show you the different types of activities. So these purple ones are various learning activities. We've got an actual NPS survey, a probation review, an annual performance review, and you can actually filter those based on different categories as well. Over on the right, you've got announcements. I don't think that requires much explanation. Down here, we have our birthdays and anniversaries panel, which allows you to see based on the day, week, or month, who's having a birthday or anniversary. And down the bottom right here, we have the recognition panel, which allows employees to recognize one another for great things that they've done, or request feedback from another employee on how they've done on certain things. And of course, they have the option of choosing whether to make this public or not. Next, let's take a look at the digital employee file from the employee's perspective. If we just click on the employee's name, it will open up their digital file. Now, just take a quick look here. You might remember that we had around 12 different sections of information for the HR user. The employee can only see 6 of those sections, and if we click on edit, you will note that the employee can only edit these 6 fields. So we've actually set it up that way so employees can only edit and view the information we want them to. We can also go and look at employee documents. So these are any documents that exist in the employee's file. It also shows us any missing mandatory documents up here. And of course, the employee can upload a file by clicking Choose File, selecting the file they want and choosing Upload, select the document type, and we also get to choose whether or not the manager has access to that. Next, we can have a look at the employment history. We can also take a look at the employee's job description. Next, we can also go and look at any company assets that have been allocated to me. And now let's look at just a few other things from the employee self-service portal. So obviously we saw my personal information, my documents, my roles. This is showing my tasks and approvals. These are all aggregated through the task requiring my action, however, so I don't need to go into there. But it might be useful to take a look at the HR help desk. It's very easy for an employee to create a request. They simply click that button, fill out these couple of fields and click on Save. An employee can also go and have a look at any company holidays or any vacancies that are open at the moment. And from there you can apply or even recommend a friend. And if we just go to the Performance tab, I can click on Career Path, which shows me where I can go in terms of promotion or rotational paths. And then I have the job description for that particular rotation path and a competency analysis, so I can see what I need to do versus where I am now. Also, I might fill out my timesheets. So I can do that here. I simply select the project or what I'm working on and the associated activity. And I can either use the clock in, which starts the clock, or I can simply just add the values manually like so. And let's also apply for some leave while I'm here. Let's apply for some annual leave. I'll say that I want to start taking that leave from Monday and I'm going to be back on the following Monday. Note the system automatically calculates the number of hours and days, and I can say that one is annual leave, and I can choose save, and that will appear under my leave requests here. So you can see these are the leave requests. It'll tell me how many leave hours I have, and up the top here we can actually see our leave balances. And finally, something else I might choose to do as an employee is to log an incident as part of our health and safety module. So that gives you a little bit of a taste of what you can do as an employee via the Lanteria HR Employee Self-Service module. So let's have a brief look at what Lanteria offers in terms of HR analytics. We have inbuilt into the system our report center, which has a whole bunch of general reports out of the box, and these are grouped by your different modules. And you also have the ability to create your own custom reports. What I've done is I've actually surfaced some of those most commonly used reports that over on the menu here. So let's step through what they look like. This is our equality and diversity report. Here we have details of terminations, our structure report, headcount turnover report, organizational changes report, our seniority report, and our organizational structure dashboard. And if you'd like to create your own custom reports, simply go into the report center, click on new report, and follow the 7-step wizard. It's very easy. You'll be up and running in no time. And if you would like to create custom charts similar to the ones you saw in the various dashboards, you can do this through the chart center simply by clicking on new chart and once again following the 7-step wizard. And while we're talking about HR analytics, let's not forget that Lanteria HR is unique because it is natively integrated with Microsoft Power BI, the world's leading business intelligence platform. Here's an example of a Power BI report around expiring licenses and certificates. Now you'll see this report looks slightly different to the other ones that I showed you, but what makes it unique, and Power BI especially, is the ability to drill down and look at specific document types. So if I just wanted to have a look at these 3 document types, you can see here that the data changes in the background. Let's take a quick look at what Lanteria HR offers in terms of recruitment and onboarding. So you'll go up here as an HR user and click on the recruiting tab and go into vacancies. This is where you can see all of the vacancies that are open across your business. Let's go and have a look at the accounts payable officer. So when we open that, we can actually see here, this is the description that goes out to the job boards. We can see who requested it. We can have questions specific to this vacancy, and we can automatically reject or shortlist people based on some of their answers. Then we can define our interview stages, and at each stage we can define interview forms or questions that we want to ask to ensure a consistent and non-biased process. Over here, this shows us where the vacancy has been published to. For example, it's gone on to our public-facing career portal. Quick side note, you might have noticed that the candidate portal is set up for a company called 𝘂𝘓𝘕. That's a fictitious organization that we use for our demonstrations, and we've configured the look and feel of the candidate portal to align with 𝘂𝘓𝘕's brand. When implementing Lanteria, we'll configure the candidate portal so it aligns with your corporate look and feel. Now we can also look at other locations where the vacancy is being published. For example, if we've published it to Seek, we can click there and see the vacancy has been published with all the details that have been brought across. And when the candidate clicks on the Apply Now button, their details will automatically be pushed through to Lanteria. And we can also define interview schedule windows, allowing candidates to self-book at times that the interviewers have made available. So let's go and have a look at our candidates for that particular job vacancy or job opening. You can see on the left here, these are our various statuses. Over on the right, these are the candidates that have applied. The ones with the stars are shortlisted. If a candidate has this thumbs up next to it, it means they've been recommended by an existing employee. And next to each candidate, you've got a bunch of actions you can perform. These items here show you interviews that have been booked. I can open that up and give a rating, which will automatically generate a score. I can also start the onboarding process. by clicking on Start Process, which as you can see has allocated the first 2 tasks, asking the candidate to supply referee details and a national police check. If I just go to the candidate portal, you can see that they see these details here and they've received an email notification to tell them about it. We'll just fill out my details like so, and you'll see that task will drop off and we complete our police check. And then if we go back over here and refresh that, you'll see that obviously now we have the referee details. We can go ahead and call them. Okay, so now let's go ahead and generate the job offer and send it out via Adobe Sign. And now we're ready to convert the candidate to an employee. So let's go up to our onboarding queue and click on Create Employee. That will bring across all their information and documents. We do have to populate a couple of mandatory fields, such as the employment start date. We want to put in, you can see that their org unit and job role has been populated. We can put in the manager details as well. And I think pretty much that's mostly all we need to put in here. We want date of birth at this particular stage. Everything else is optional. And then on the next screen, we then need to assign them to their position, their designation, however you want to call it. Essentially, we'll say that's an active role starting from today, and it's a new hire, and we won't fill out any of that stuff. We will actually do their salary details as well. And if you configure it, the system will actually recommend the salary for that particular person. And we choose OK. And that converts that person into an employee. So now we will find our candidate. Johnny Smith is an employee, and we'll bring up the details. We can see that the onboarding process has started. One thing that really stands out about Lanteria HR is its deep integration with Microsoft Teams and Outlook. Let's check out the experience of scheduling an interview. Now let's type in the name of the person that we want to interview the candidate. Now, when we click on Scheduling Assistance, this goes in and looks directly at Verity's calendar to see what her availability is without having to leave the application. This also works with multiple people. So we can click on Scheduling Assistant again, and we can see that Han is blue and Verity is red, and I can just double click there and it will schedule the interview at that particular time. The other thing I want to show you is the ability to make it an online meeting and integrate it with Microsoft Teams. 2 clicks, it's going to create the Teams meeting, and that's going to be included in the invite, the calendar invite that gets sent to the candidate.